So imagine this. You've got three deadly cancers: a blood cancer, a disorder that can lead to it, and a really rare cancer in the bile ducts. On the surface, they seem totally unrelated, right? Well, what if I told you they could all be treated by targeting one single tiny mistake in their DNA? Today, we are cracking the code on a medical breakthrough that is literally changing the rulebook for how we fight cancer. Our mystery starts with a really formidable opponent: acute myeloid leukemia, or AML. This isn't some slow-moving disease. It's like a wildfire that starts in your blood and bone marrow, where these abnormal cells just multiply like crazy, crowding out all the healthy stuff. It's incredibly aggressive, and for way too many people, it's a death sentence. And this number really says it all. A 31.9% 5-year survival rate. To put that in perspective, that means less than a third of people are still here 5 years after diagnosis. It's just a grim statistic that shows how badly we need new, better treatments, especially for older patients who just can't handle the really harsh, old-school chemotherapy. But okay, here's where the plot really thickens. What if I told you that this blood cancer has a secret connection to a completely different disease, cholangiocarcinoma? We're talking about a vicious, rare cancer of the bile ducts. That's a world away from bone marrow. So how could these two possibly be related? It doesn't seem to make any sense.
And get this, for patients with advanced bile duct cancer that has spread, the 5-year survival rate is a staggering 3%. 3. So you have two totally different cancers in two different parts of the body with two absolutely devastating prognoses. There has to be a hidden link. But what is it?
All right, so to solve this medical mystery, we're going to follow a trail of scientific breadcrumbs. First, we'll look at the three cancers and the one big clue they share. Then, we'll dig into the faulty genetic code that ties them all together and find out about the precision tool built to fix it. We'll see the pretty dramatic results when it was put to the test. And finally, we'll zoom out and explore what all this means for the future of cancer treatment.
Okay, so let's line up our suspects. We've got AML and cholangiocarcinoma, which we'll call CCA. But there's a third player in this story, a close cousin of AML called myelodysplastic syndromes, or MDS. It often turns into full-blown leukemia. Now, let's take a closer look at the evidence. So here's the rap sheet. We've got AML, the aggressive blood cancer. We have MDS, which is its precursor in about 1 out of every 3 cases. And then there's CCA, the bile duct cancer that seems like the total outlier. I mean, on the surface, they're worlds apart. But the key to this whole puzzle isn't where the cancer is located, it's hidden deep inside their shared DNA. This is where the story gets really fascinating. Researchers realized they'd been looking at the problem all wrong. The answer wasn't in the organ, the lung or the liver or the bone marrow. It was buried in the actual blueprint of the cancer cells themselves.
And this is the smoking gun. The common thread that ties a subset of these cancers together is just a single microscopic typo in their DNA. It's called the IDH1 mutation, and it's what's known as a driver mutation. Think of it as the tiny spark that ignites the whole fire of these deadly diseases. Now, this slide really shows how one little error can cause a total system failure. So, think of the IDH1 gene as the blueprint for a really important machine inside our cells. But the mutation, it creates a flawed design. So instead of doing its normal job, this broken machine starts churning out a toxic byproduct called 2-HG, and that substance basically sabotages the cell's entire development program. It just grinds everything to a halt.
And what you get is this, a cellular traffic jam. In blood cancers like AML and MDS, that toxic 2-HG stops young blood cells from growing up. They get stuck in this state of permanent childhood, just piling up and up and up, crowding out all the healthy, functioning cells. That, right there, is the very definition of leukemia. So, if a single broken machine is causing all this chaos, what if you could create a tool that specifically targets and shuts down just that one machine while leaving everything else untouched? That is the revolutionary idea behind targeted therapy.
And that precision tool has a name, Tibsovo. It's like a custom-made key that fits perfectly into the lock of that faulty IDH1 enzyme. It just jams it up, stopping it cold from making that toxic 2-HG. And the amazing part is, it's so specific that it leaves the healthy, normal enzymes completely alone to do their jobs.
And this right here, this is the aha moment. On the left, you see the chaos caused by the IDH1 mutation. It's a dead end for these developing cells. But then, on the right, you see the power of Tibsovo. By shutting down that broken enzyme, it completely clears the roadblock, and it allows the cells to get back on track and continue their normal journey to maturity.
It's pretty incredible.
Okay, so the science is beautiful, it's elegant, but the real test is always what happens in the clinic. Does this super targeted approach actually make a difference for real people, for patients fighting these diseases? Let's look at the evidence.
The big one was the Agile study. It was designed to answer that exact question. We're not talking about a small trial. This was a rigorous, global study, the gold standard of medical research. And it put Tibsovo to the ultimate test in newly diagnosed AML patients who had that IDH1 mutation and weren't able to handle intensive chemo.
The results, well, they were nothing short of remarkable. Patients who got the standard treatment had a median survival of just under 8 months. But for the ones who got Tibsovo added, that number jumped to 24 months. 24. That is more than a 3-fold increase in survival time. Just wow.
Let me put that another way for you. Adding Tibsovo to the standard of care cut the risk of death by more than half, a 56% reduction. This wasn't some tiny incremental improvement. This was a life-altering leap forward for these patients.
And data like that gets you noticed. This earned Tibsovo the highest possible recommendation from the National Comprehensive Cancer Network, the NCCN, that called it a Category 1 preferred treatment. That's basically the NCCN giving a huge thumbs up to doctors everywhere, saying, for this specific group of AML patients, this is the new standard of care.
And just like that, our mystery is solved. The same targeted approach earned these top-tier recommendations, not just for newly diagnosed AML, but also for patients whose AML or MDS has come back. And crucially, it's also a Category 1 option for previously treated cholangiocarcinoma. It's just powerful proof that treating the genetic driver, not just the cancer zip code, is the way to go.
You know, this story is about so much more than just one drug. It's really a glimpse into the future of how we treat cancer, a future where our understanding of genetics is completely changing the game.
But here's the critical thing to remember. This is not a one-size-fits-all pill. Tibsovo only works for patients whose tumors carry that specific IDH1 mutation. That means every single patient has to get a genetic test first to see if they hold the key that unlocks this particular treatment. This is what truly personalized medicine looks like.
And this represents a massive shift in how we think about cancer. For generations, we've classified cancers by where they are in the body. Lung cancer, breast cancer, colon cancer. But now, we're learning to see them for what they really are. Diseases of the genome. We are finally moving from just treating symptoms to targeting the root cause.
So, this whole story leaves us with a really tantalizing question. Is the cure for cancer not some single magic bullet, but maybe a million tiny specific keys, with each one perfectly designed to unlock a specific genetic puzzle? The answer, it seems, is being written right now, one gene at a time.